Hey guys, it's Adam from Premium Poker Tools, and in this video I want to show you how you can use the hit calculator to see kind of how different starting hands perform. So let's think about like a 10-9 suit. So let's say that you're in like the cutoff or something and someone limps to you and you're deciding whether to like raise or to limp behind. So you might think to yourself like, oh, I've seen them limp with ace 3 offsuit, with like king 7 offsuit. Like, I've looked at all these rankings of starting hands, and 10-9 suited is way better than ace 3 offsuit, than king 9 offsuit, or whatever, king 8 offsuit. So, because this is such a stronger hand, I'm ahead of them, so I'm gonna raise. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't raise. I definitely think that you should raise, but I think it's important to understand why you're going to raise. So, you might think this is such a strong hand, like I'm raising for value. Well, let's simulate and see how 10-9 suited performs. So we can see on the flop how 10-9 suited performs. So let's first look at how often like we smash the flop. So we're gonna smash the flop like, some 2-pair or better about 5% of the time. So we're definitely, this might look kind of seductive that it's suited, it's connected, like we can make a lot of flushes and straights. Um, but in reality, that's not actually gonna happen very often. So, we're not gonna have great hands that often. If we include top pair, 15% of the time we're going to have a strong hand. Um, these are the kind of hands that we can get value from. And even top pair with a weak kicker, I don't know how many streets you can get. Maybe that's kind of like a 1 street, maybe 2 street of value kind of hand. So if you're raising 10-9 suited looking to get value, you're not going to get value very frequently. About 5% of the time, you're going to have something on the flop that you can get value from, and then another 10%, you'll have top pair, which you can maybe get like 1 street of value from. So the point is that I'm trying to make right now, the strength of 10-9 suited as a hand doesn't come because it, flops a lot of strong things that you can get value from. So if it's not flopping a lot of good things that you can get value from, like why is 10-9 suited a better hand than ace 3 offsuit? Well, let's look at some other things. So 10-9 suited, it doesn't actually flop, flushes or straights that often, but we're going to have a flush draw 11% of the time. We're going to have an open-ended straight draw or a double gut shot another 10% of the time. We're going to have a gut shot 16% of the time. We can turn. So these are all hands that we can use to bluff. These are great hands that we can use to bluff. And I don't know if you've heard this kind of idea before, but like, about 2/3 of the time, even with a strong hand like ace king, you're going to miss the flop. And people generally fold, too frequently to like see bets and stuff. So anyway, 10-9 suited is a great hand to barrel with because when you're bluffing, you want to have some sort of backup plan. You want to have some equity, and with 10-9 suited, a lot of the time you're going to have that equity. Even with 2 overcards, that's a great spot to be in if you're bluffing. You can turn weak pairs into bluffs. So about 45% of the time, almost half the time, 10-9 suited is going to flop something that is going to be like give you good, allow you to bluff. So that's kind of the strength of 10-9 suited, is that you have all this equity, and you can use this equity to push your opponent off of their hands and win pots that don't actually belong to you. So let's compare that to let's compare that to a hand like ace-3 offsuit. So let's say you're sitting here with ace-3 offsuit. How is that going to perform? So let's look at, like, let's say that we want to bluff with our ace-3 offsuit. We want to take away the pot. So if we look at like the strong bluffing hands, like if we have a strong draw, that only happens less than 3% of the time. Whereas with 10-9 suited, it's gonna be more like 20% of the time. Okay, so ace-3 off, it's gonna have gut shots once in a while, but you know that's not. It's a hand. You know, it gives you some equity, but it's not like the strongest candidate to bluff with. And even if we include this, you know, and let's say we include weak pairs as well, to be fair, you know, about 24% of the time we'll have something to bluff with. Compare that to here, which is about 45% of the time. And here, when we do have equity to bluff with, it's going to be of like the weaker variety. So ace-3 offsuit, it does have more equity than 10-9, and I'll show you that. But it's not going to perform as well post-flop. So if we say ace-3 versus 10-9, I think ace-3 is going to have a little bit more equity. But post-flop, it's not going to perform as well. 10-9 suited, you can get a lot more creative. You can justify calling, you can justify raising or bluffing. There's a lot more that you can do with it. So that's kind of the idea I wanted to impart here, that not only 10-9 suited, but all of these other suited connected hands, they're not going to flop, you know, value hands that frequently. So if you're isolating with 10-9 suited, because you think it's a stronger hand than ace-3 offsuit, and you just decide to check it down and only bet when you have like a value hand, it's not going to perform that well. So let's just see that one more time. If we look at how often 10-9 suited is going to have some sort of value, if we say top pair or any of these nut hands, like you're only going to have value 15% of the time. So if you're raising and isolating with this, and you're only continuing when you have value, and otherwise you just check it down, you're going to be missing a lot of the strength of what 10-9 suited provides you. You're not going to be, you know, getting value that often. So on the other hand, you know, if you check these off, you see you're going to have a good candidate to bluff with a lot of the time. So that's kind of what I wanted to say about 10-9 suited, all these other suited connected kind of hands. But the bigger picture is just how you can use this tool, the hit calculator, to see how hands perform post-flop. To see, you know, how often they flop draws, how often they flop nut hands, all that kind of stuff. So I was just kind of reviewing one type of hand here, but you can look at suited aces, you can look at how middle pocket pairs do, you can look at how like Broadway, like offsuit Broadway hands do. So you can use this hit calculator to see how different starting hands perform post-flop. So hopefully you guys learned a couple things in this video. Hopefully it made sense. Hopefully you guys like this tool. If you have any feedback for me, you can email me at contact@premiumpokertools.com. My name's Adam. I'm the founder of Premium Poker Tools. And yeah, thanks for watching the video and have a good day.